Hello everyone. Now let's talk about minimizing losses, which happens when price drops below minimum ATC. And if price drops below minimum ATC, it means you're going to start losing money, right? Because your profit is what is P minus ATC times Q. So as long as price drops lower, so profit. So as price drops below minimum ATC, this difference is always going to be negative. And well, that's why you now have to think about minimizing your losses rather than maximizing your profit. And first thing to realize that you cannot just walk out of your business. So going out of business is not an option because we are in the short run and cannot get rid of our fixed factors of production. So fixed factor of production is always a responsibility. So if you shut your company down by basically stopping production, right, but not liquidating your business, you still will be covering your fixed cost, which will become your losses. Because as you're not producing anything, that's the only thing that's happening, and that's what you have to deal with. All right, so that's how things work. So again, if you shut down, you will be dealing with losses. It will not be zero. But in fact, it could be a good choice if price drops as low as below minimum AVC, minimum average variable cost. In which case, producing will make your situation even worse. So not only you will have to pay for your fixed cost of production, you will also have to pay for the cost of your labor that is not covered but by your sales. And you see, when price is below minimum AVC, it means whatever you get paid when selling your stuff doesn't cover your labor cost. So that will be an additional loss on top of your fixed cost. So if you keep producing when price is below minimum AVC, your losses will be not just fixed cost, but fixed cost plus losses on labor, or generally speaking, losses on your variable factor of production. That's the logic of it. Now let's see how these things can be analyzed on these diagrams. So we have total cost, variable cost diagram, and then we have marginal cost, average total cost, and average variable cost diagram. And let's see how things will look if price is just allowing the company to break even. So to see how it works, we need to draw, on the lower diagram it's pretty straightforward, I hope. So if the company is breaking even, it means that price exactly touches our minimum ATC. Because in this case, P minus ATC is 0. So again, if you pick the output at the proper level, and the company will just break even. Let's see how this situation will show on the upper diagram. We need to add total revenue curve, which is a function of price, right? As simple as P times Q. And we know that it's a straight line, upward slope line. And to show a situation when a company is breaking even, we just need to draw this line so that it touches our total cost curve. Okay, so again, that's the case when price exactly matches our minimum ATC, basically this level. And the company has a chance to break even, again, as long as it produces exactly against this point. So these 2 points can be picked here or here, and if you draw these diagrams accurately enough, they're supposed to match exactly. All right, so at the starting point, again, the company is breaking even. Now let's go into the area where the company, in fact, is about to lose money. Let's get rid of this one and show how things will show on the upper diagram first. So let's draw this total revenue curve like this. Not too flat yet. So it's already losing money, right? And we actually can also show the situation on the lower diagram, pushing this price lower than it was, but we want to make sure that we are not pushing it below our AVC, right? Because on the upper diagram, for price to drop below minimum AVC, this total revenue line would have to actually go below this tangent line. So that would look like this. But because again, we know that price is above minimum AVC, that's how it looks, how total revenue curves looks here. And well, if that's the case, then what should this company do? Well, if it wants to minimize its losses, it basically needs to pick like an output that will make its losses as small as possible. And it's pretty easy to see on the upper diagram, because here you can see losses as the distance between total cost and total revenue, right? At any quantity, it's as easy as to eyeball the distance between those two curves. And you hopefully can see that it's somewhere around here. Again, technically, if we want to get it exactly, we need to draw like a tangent line that is parallel to our total revenue curve, right? Because its slope is price. And that will be somewhere here. Well, technically, it's supposed to, again, to match this intersection, because this is how it works on the lower diagram. So if you put appropriate price that relates to this total revenue curve on the lower diagram, you will find your a level of output where losses are the smallest at this price, at the intersection of MC and price. All right. Just again, the word of warning: don't go after the minimum ATC. You should always avoid this temptation. You always should look at MC equals MR or MC equals price. Okay. So again, what do we see here? We see that this is our losses, and the important thing is that these losses are smaller than fixed cost. So keeping production is better than shutting down, because losses in this case will be smaller. You can also figure it out on this diagram, which is a little bit more work, but let's do it anyways. So if you're producing at this level of output, then your losses is where? The losses is the distance between ATC and price times quantity. So it's your loss in this case. What is your fixed cost on this diagram? Well, it's the distance between ATC and AVC times quantity. So as you can see, your losses would be larger if you just shut down, because that will be your fixed cost. So you don't want to shut down, and it's pretty clear from both graphs. All right, and finally, let's see how things will work out in case price drops really low, so even lower than the minimum AVC. So we already know that in this case we want to shut down, but how can we confirm it? First, let's confirm it on the upper diagram. So we're drawing this total revenue curve, which is now so flat that it doesn't even touch our variable cost curve. And now let's see at which level of output we're going to get smallest losses. Again, it could be tempting to continue doing what we did before, just drawing like a tangent line, right? And basically following this MR equals MC rule. And if you do that, you will get this. But the good thing about this upper diagram, you can see immediately that it's not a good choice, because how much money are you losing in this case? You're losing your fixed cost, right? Because it's the difference between these two curves, and something else. Basically, whatever you're losing on paying your workers who don't make, while not making enough revenue that will cover what you're paying them. So this is your losses on your labor, because you also don't control payments to your labor. I mean, we assume that the company is price taker both in terms of selling its stuff and paying workers. So you have to pay workers as like market wages, and you cannot pay them less. Just saying, oh guys, I'm in trouble, I cannot pay you, the market wages. If you try to do that, they will just walk away. At least that's the assumption here. All right. So that's why you don't want to keep producing, because shutting down, in fact, will result in smaller losses. So fixed cost while producing at 0 is lesser evil than this loss when producing at the point where MR meets MC. All right, and you can also confirm it on the lower diagram by figuring out your losses, which is the distance between ATC and price, right, times quantity, which in this case happens to be larger than your fixed cost, which is in fact this area. It's ATC minus AVC times Q. So by producing here, in this case, when price is that low or lower than minimum AVC, you're going to lose that much. And well, if you shut down, you will only lose that much. So clearly, you want to shut down as soon as price drops below minimum AVC. And this is how things work here. Thank you for your time. I'll talk to you later.